Okay, naomba nikuulize swali. Ilikuwaje wewe ukaamua kwamba sitaendelea kukaa tena Kenya au Afrika, bora niondoke nikajitafutie riski, na ukaamua uende Amerika? Ilikuwaje?
Yeah, asante kabisa David na Gloria kwa kuchukua nafasi yenu kwa hii channel kunihoji. Ilikuwa mwaka wa it was in the year 2013 when I happened to go to Switzerland for a mission. It was a job-related mission. So while there, I saw the kind of lifestyle, the environment, the orderliness, the development, and how, the ambience. It really moved me, and I felt like, so when I went back home, I was like, no, I really need to do all it takes so that I can relocate to the Western world. For me, because we always believed that relocating to abroad means greener pastures in better life. So when I went back home, I had a new mtazamo, a new perspective of where I really want to be and where my family needs to be. So I started working so hard, and the place I had in mind to go to was the United States of America. So that really gave me the push and the motivation to work harder and have my family and myself relocate to the US. So that's what motivated me to relocate there for greener pastures and for a better life, an orderly one. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that introduction. My question is, you mentioned that you work in Kenya, then you moved to Switzerland, and then now you are in America. But what we want to know is about did you study earlier in Kenya and then you moved to Switzerland for studies again, and then why you moved from Switzerland to Kenya and not remain to Switzerland, because the Switzerland also there is green pasture America.
Oh yeah. Before going to Switzerland, I was working in Kenya. All my studies, I did my CPA. So I'm a certified public accountant of Kenya. I also did my bachelor's of commerce degree from Kenya. I also did my master's degree from Kenya. So I was sent to Switzerland by my employer for a 2 weeks mission there. It was just for 2 weeks. Then I go back to my country, Kenya, because that was where one of our headquarters was. And based on my good performance, I had been selected to go there at least to have the feel of the headquarters. So they exposed me to that. That's why when I came to Switzerland, I went back to Kenya. That was where my duty station was.
Okay. So it is like only 2 weeks, but you experience a quite different lifestyle and everything that motivate you also. So you are coming back to Kenya and then you start about dreaming to go to USA. How was the process be, like visa process, and how did you get the chance to go to USA?
Yeah, initially I had been trying to come to the US through employment, because I was working for United Nations, Umoja wa Mataifa.
Yeah.
So kwa hivyo nilikuwa na apply kazi. I was applying for jobs in the US. So the farthest I used to get to was to do a written test, but then because I was not within the commuting zone, they could not hire me internationally as a local staff. So what I did, I tried applying for my PhD.
Okay.
But then in some universities here, but the acceptance rate was very low. So I didn't merit. And at some point, I have a family. There's a time my wife was initially selected for further processing of her green card. But then this thing we called a case number. We got a higher case number, which was about 55,000. But by the time they were hitting the 50,000 people they wanted, it got stuck at 50,000, so we couldn't get to progress to the interview, and that we lost it at that. So
Okay,
then,
okay, okay. So, sorry. Can you explain to us the case number, because you mentioned the case number?
oh, okay. The diversity lottery, yeah,
Mm,
visa, they open it to all the people from all over the world to apply, because bahati nasibu, it's a lottery. So they normally do the initial random selection of people for further processing, and they allocate a number which they call a case number. So
mm,
the smaller the number it is, they call it lower case, and the higher it is, it's higher case. So
mm,
they normally select, like, for example, from 0 to 10,000 people can now be allowed to go for the interview in a given month in the
mm,
visa bulletin. So again, the next month they take, like, for example, from 15,000, from 10,000 to 15,000 to go for
mm,
interviews in the next month. So they do that up to end of October. So if it gets to 31st October and you've not been called for interview, even if it starts at 45,000, then that
mm.
is it. People who got from 45,000 and above, that's the cutoff point. That will be it. As long as the people who are going for the interviews are being successful, and once the required limit is attained, they stop, even if they have not interviewed everybody. So we
Okay.
fell because our case number was high, 55,000. They couldn't get to us, so
Mm.
they hit their limit by that 1st of October of that year. So we were not lucky to progress to the interviews. So
Okay.
that's how
Sorry
that
for that.
chance got lost.
Okay.
Mhm.
Then after that, and how did you manage to go to USA? Then after
Yeah.
you felt that.
So after that, my wife is a nurse. I started researching on
Mm.
how we could come here on an employment-based visa. So in my research, I happened to learn from a friend who happened to be her former colleague, that she had somebody had come to the US through some program. That program is called through an agency called Avant Healthcare Professionals. Yeah,
Af-
Avant Healthcare Professionals, AVANT Healthcare Professionals.
Okay.
So I took the name of that agency. I researched more, then I got to know what they require. I learned that they required for somebody to reach out to them. Then I came, advised my wife to reach out to them. She did that. They got in touch. They started guiding her on the process. Yeah, she filled out some registration. She sent her resume in a prescribed manner that in a template that they sent to her,
Mm.
where they require that she should be working in a hospital that has at least a bed capacity of 100 beds and above, and that she had not less than 2 years of experience, and she had a valid license. So she fell within all that category. So later on, she sat for 2 exams. One
Okay.
was English proficiency, which is a basic for basic English, and then
Mm.
also some specialized exam in nursing. Luckily enough, she
Okay.
passed both those exams. Then they offered her, they gave her a contract to sign, that they would prepare her to sit for an exam called NCLEX, which is the licensure exam for the US. They have had to be licensed to work in the US.
Mm.
And the thing they were doing was that when you get successful, they relocate you all with your family. So what we did, because the learning was so intense, I offered to let her take unpaid leave of 7 months for her to focus on studying. So I went, shopped for a laptop and everything, got I had a modem for internet and blah blah blah, and so she was doing. So she was studying. So I was guiding her through the process. When they want this, I would send. But they were doing it in stages. So they send the materials. And it was programmed in a way that you only move to the next stage after you pass this stage. So I kept on, encouraging her, and all she was doing is reading, studying. So I was working and paying all the bills, maintaining the home, running the home, everything. As she studied for almost 7 months.
Okay.
So then she went to India to sit for that exam. In those days, there was no center in Africa. They only introduced a new center in South Africa a few years ago, and now, luckily enough, for now in Kenya they have a center
Yeah,
in
that's
this
nice.
place. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she passed the exams. Then they started doing the immigration process, where it involved filling out DS-260 form for immigration. Went for medicals at the International Office for Migration, IOM. They do the chest check and blood work, so to say that you are healthy and fit to relocate. You passed. Then we did many immunizations, blah blah blah. And then for her, she came. Then we followed her. It was about 6 weeks later, because she had to go to Florida to do her orientation, so she could be
Okay.
posted in Texas. So because this is something I had really wanted to see happen, I resigned from my job. I was working for United Nations then. Then I went to I came I joined her in Texas with our kids. So there, I tried finding a fitting job because I was used to working in some kind of environment. Then I felt like it's taking long for me to get to me, because my papers were from Kenya. The private sector wanted me to translate my documents, so I felt like it's best if I go back to my previous employer, which was the United Nations. So I relocated to New Jersey. I left my family in Texas. Then I applied back at the UN, and luckily enough, I got back in the system. That's where I am even today. And then a year later, my family followed me here in New Jersey, and now this is where we are. That's how our journey was. It really called for sacrifice, focus, patience, and it took about 3 years for us to go through the entire process.
Okay.
It was very
That's nice.
rigorous and involving.
Congratulations.
Mhm. Mhm.
Aisee, hongera sana daktari, hongera sana kwa sababu kuna ile kasumba ambayo huwa tunasema kwamba hakuna true love, lakini kwa story yako tu kidogo, kwa kile ambacho tumekisikia, mimi naweza nikasema kwamba kumbe kuna mapenzi ya dhati, na kama unataka mufanikiwe, inabidi usacrifice, wakati mwingine inabidi ujinyime, inabidi uwache kile unachokiona labda ni cha muhimu, ili mambo mengine yaende. So kwa wewe mtazamaji wetu ambaye unatutazama sasa hivi, nafikiri this is a story to learn. Wewe kufika hatua nyingine itahitaji ufanye sacrifices ambazo zinahitajika. Usingojee kama uwe kama chura eti utagongwa teke tu alafu songeno. Okay. Naomba tu nikuulize swali kwamba ilikuwaje wewe sasa kurelocate, kwa sababu there is two way ya relocating kutoka Kenya kuja Amerika. Alafu kuna sasa ulivyoacha tena familia ukaenda tena ukarelocate, alafu sasa wakakufuata. So mimi ile yangu ambayo naona ina uzito sana, ile wewe uliondoka Kenya na familia, I mean your love aliondoka Kenya akakuja, alafu nyinyi wewe na familia mkakuja. Je, ilikuwaje kama wewe mzazi umezoea kulea watoto wako Afrika na kuja kwenye mazingira tofauti, alafu kuanza maisha pale na familia yako? Ilikuwaje kama mzazi?
Yeah, ilikuwa ni changamoto sana, maana kwa upande wake ilikuwa the recruiting agency iligharimia vitu kadhaa ya usafiri wake, yeah. But akikuja huku hivi inabidi wana deduct and wanakata from her salary on an hourly rate. Kwa mfano kama angepata kazi kivyake na wanamlipa like $50 per hour, sasa wanamlipa like $30 per hour, that 20 wanachukua per hour until vile hiyo pesa yenye waligharimika yote inaisha. Now she can be free to get out of the contract na akuwe employed kivyake ndio aanze kupata $50 per hour. So yeye ikawa hivyo, but now my side na watoto ilibidi mwenyewe nigharimike, given that yeye alikuwa amekaa muda mrefu bila kufanya kazi. So ikawa like nigharimike, make sure sasa sisi mimi na watoto wetu tunalipa all those related costs za usafiri, the health, medical, nini visa applications, blah blah and all that. Na kukuja huku was a big okay, it was like a gamble, but to me I was determined. Niliona huko hivyo kuna watu wanakaa, kama watu wanaenda alafu wanaishi sembuse mimi na wanaweza kujimudu kimaisha. So na huwa napenda sana kufanya utafiti kipata kama nikipata kitu nita research more on it, yeah, I get to know what is life like somebody relocating from Kenya to the US. Nikishapata kwa mfano address of the place where we are going, I'll research around the place, get to know mtu anaweza pataje nyumba, anaweza pataje gari, anaweza all those, yeah. So it was a big gamble, but I was determined to succeed. So I was like, it's like shooting in the dark, but Mungu yuko, cause naamini kwa Mungu, I believe in God and trust in God, and I knew he had opened a way for that's why I had the confidence. And when I'm determined to do something, I was like, God will be with me, we'll succeed. So that's why we went there. We didn't know anybody in Texas at all. Just that the agency can give you leads, can send you some information of what you need to do to get a house, to get a fast car, to get a school, blah blah blah, and such. So that's why we went, so I could research like from this address to the nearest school, what's the distance from there to any shopping center, to the church, yeah, and all those, and the costs of living there, potential employers that are in that area, the kinds of jobs that people get there. So I was researching day and night. So yeah, and even finding things, like, for example, at cheaper price, because when you're coming there, you barely have enough to to sustain yourself. I could even look for something like research like Craigslist, yeah, such like Salvation Army, to see where can you find cheaper stuff to start life with. Then once you're settled, you can release them. So yeah, it was a big gamble, but it worked for the best. Yeah. And I had also talked to the kids that that's a new life. Something funny was that our last born was 3 years old, and he believed because his mother came ahead of us, when he comes, the mother will have become white. So when we followed, when we came, then she came to pick us at the airport. She thought the mother would still, he had to change. He was surprised, and he also thought that immediately he arrives here, English will come. He will start speaking English, but then English had not come. So alikuwa anasema nimekuja hapa na English haijakuja, because he didn't know how to speak English. So he expected immediately he arrives in the US, because people speak English will just come by itself. So we really learned. Yeah, but yeah, it was a good experience and ilikuwa na changamoto zake. Yeah.
So thank you. As we know, there is process of visa process. Visa process is difficulty for people moving from Kenya or Tanzania or Africa to go in America. So, how was it? Is it easier or how was it? We need to know because we can see like now there is restriction. Trump will bring the restriction, but back then also there was also the problem with visa to go to America. Can you tell us about it? How was the process to you?
So the process was like this. Actually, it was like I was riding on her because she was the one who was doing nursing job for me. I was working as a finance and budget staff in a different organization. So that program was for nurses, and because she was a nurse, so they did everything for. Okay, they processed stuff for the entire family, and that involved an immigration visa where they processed a green card. The employer petitioned. It was a H1B kind of visa, which was employment based. Yeah, employment based, whereby the employer was allowed to hire her internationally, but after she had passed exams as being a nurse here now. That's why she was preparing for the licensure exam, did the exams from India, passed, got a license. Then from there, that's when the employer gave her now a contract and started looking for jobs on her behalf. So they processed the paperwork that involved the travel documents for all of us. They asked for them, birth certificate, whatever, passports, whatever. Then when they put them together plus her documents that she had passed NCLEX exam, so they filled out we filled out this 260, and also they submitted her request through the is it IUS something, the US body that deals with the immigration. They opened a case for her, and it was progressing until when it became current. Then we were scheduled for an interview at the US Embassy. And when coming here on an employment-based visa, those days as a nurse, getting a visa was almost like a guarantee, as long as your paperwork is not a guarantee, but the chances were so high that you will get, because the employer had already submitted the paperwork to the departments, to the US Department of State, that you are traveling and you have fulfilled everything, and the employer proved that they are financially stable to employ you, and that the salary, the contract they're giving you, you're able to sustain yourself and your family. So that way they know that you are not coming here to be a public charge, as in haukuji hapa kupokea tu msaada kutoka kwa serikali ya Marekani. So once that requirement was fulfilled, then the embassy, they had sent us sealed packets of everything, of our documents to the US Embassy. Na tukaambiwa hizo bahasha, we should not open them. When at the port of entry in the US, we should hand them over to the immigration officers in the port of entry, which was Texas. So unapofika unakuja tuna hizo bahasha zote unawapatia, hujui nini kiko ndani, but then hizo zilikuwa applications za green card, because they could only process them kama tushafika hapa. Yeah, so once they get to know unaenda kwa address gani, now wanapozichukua, they just verify that we are now physically present in the US. Now they mail that green card to the address kwenye unaenda. So hivyo ndio kulikuwa na, it was a lengthy process, because kuna watu wangeenda medicals, mtu anapatikana ana shida ya kifua, pengine alikuwa na TB ama wameona something kwa kifua, then wanasema either atumie madawa aende for review for like miezi 6 ama 1 year, waone kama hiyo imeclear ndio proceed, ama akipata una hitilafu ya kiafya and then they say either utibiwe kwanza ikuwe rectified ndio urudi tena. So yeah, ikawa medicals, wafanye immunization nyingi, alafu pia mnaenda kwa interviews, wanakuuliza maswali kama, and they want to ascertain that what you are presenting there is the entire family that you have. At number one, maybe hauna familia ingine popote pale that you have umedeclare your entire family ndio hiyo, then unaapa, alafu mnamaliza, then if they need anything wanakuambia, if they don't, then they retain your passports and they give you some green slip ya kuonyesha ati wana process nini yako, na you will go to collect in like a week's time or after like 4 days. Yeah, so that's what happened to us. Alafu zikatumwa na hii kampuni inaitwa DHL, so nikaenda kuzichukua pale Village Market Nairobi. So that's how our process yetu ilienda.